Hello, I'm Dr. Daniel Daves. In 2008, I had two specific dreams that I believe were from God. Countless others have confirmed that these dreams were a true forecast and warning of the future. Now, the first dream was confirmed in an exact detail by a Hollywood motion picture that would be released 4 years after I had the dream. That dream is nearing its full completion, yet the second dream reveals a horrible end that spoke of the future, and that future is potentially upon us right now. In the second dream, I was scuba diving deep under the ocean, and I was beside Team Obama. We had full face masks on so everyone could communicate verbally. We were retrofitted for deep water diving, and we had headlamps on along with a handheld flashlight in each of our hands. Now, President Obama led the team into a deep, dark underwater cave. I had an urgent sense inside of me, knowing that we were leaving open water and going into a very dangerous place. You see, cave diving is much more dangerous because you can't just ascend or go up to the surface in an emergency. Now, this is why I had that great concern, because we were going deeper into danger and not up as I felt like we should be going. Team Obama had clipboards, and they were making calculations. They were scripting the orders while President Obama was talking to them. As we stopped in the middle of this huge cave, with the opening of the cave at our backs, we viewed a series of dark, round tunnels in the rock. Now, these tunnels were pitch black dark, and one of these tunnels was filled with sediment. I knew that if we entered that tunnel, we would have to feel our way through the tunnel with zero visibility. I was hoping we weren't going into that one. Other tunnels were small. Some were dark with different levels of clarity. I knew that this cave and these tunnels had never been navigated before. And I realized that no president had ever navigated the tunnels, and President Obama would be the first ever to venture into these depths of darkness and danger. President Obama finally chose to take the team into a large, dark, totally clear tunnel with no sediment. And there was no light at the end of this tunnel, and no one knew for sure what was inside. Then he pointed into the cave at that tunnel with this command: "Let's go into this one." I became very, very concerned, and fear and panic started rushing through my body. We were going into a very, very dark and dangerous place at great risk of the loss of life. Suddenly, the voice that came to me as if it were from God Himself shouted at me loudly and with great authority. And the voice said, "Get away from him. Get away from him now." I froze, remaining suspended in the water, shocked, watching Team Obama swim towards the black hole. I was approximately 50 feet from the mouth of the cave when suddenly a huge earthquake began to shake the cave. Huge boulders and rocks came crashing down around the mouth of the cave and totally sealed it off. Both I and Team Obama looked at the mouth of the cave in total shock and horror, total dismay, understanding that we were now sealed off from humanity. We would die in that sealed off cave. And the only way forward would be through the deep, dark tunnel with the remaining oxygen that we had in our tanks. It was then that I awoke and was gasping for air in my bed. I'd like to give you an interpretation of the dream as I understand it. Now, I had the dream 17 years ago as of this recording. And when I had it, it was so real to me, I assumed that Team Obama was going to be doing their thing right away. I didn't know it would take 17 years to unveil and unfold what was going on. And so this was clear back at the end of 2008, Team Obama in the dream. Obama had just been elected as president, but he was not sworn in yet. So President-elect Obama is on his way to the presidency, and God gives me a dream telling what he's going to do clear out in the future years later. That is just incredible, first of all, to think that God in his mind knew exactly what Obama was going to do, and he warned me in a dream what was coming. All glory goes to him. Well, here's my understanding of the dream. First of all, Team Obama was deep underwater. I was there. They were communicating. He was with these people that had clipboards, and they were writing on the clipboards like with grease pens underwater. And they went into this big expansive cave. I call that the deep state. So we are in deep state territory, and it's a very dangerous territory, but they had all the equipment they needed to function underwater in that otherwise dangerous territory. And they were talking and communicating, and they were writing down his directives. We found out now in the meeting that he had with all of his heads of government that he was giving directives, and he was telling them, and they were taking directives, and they were going to fulfill and follow what he said. Then they came to a place with a whole bunch of holes, some with a lot of sediment, some with no sediment. One was totally black and clear. It was like, it's clear, we should go into this one. And I knew, as they were looking and scanning, I knew that no president had ever done this before. That was just in my knowledge that this guy, he was the first president ever to make a decision like this. And so he said, let's go in that one. And when he said that, they all began to swim towards that big hole. That's when the voice that came from heaven, it was the voice of God that said very strong to me. Now, of course, I'm freaking out. I'm a diver, but I'm an open water diver. I don't have a certification to go in under with a roof over my head or a cave, because that's a whole new level of danger. And once you get in the cave, danger, and then you go in a tunnel, you can't see the other end, you don't know what's in there. You talk about dangerous. How do we get out? How do we back out? What's in there? There's just too many problems. And I am totally freaked to think that I'm going with Team Obama into this area. And the voice that shouted into my heart from heaven, get away from him, get away from him now. That voice was the voice of God, and it froze me. It just shocked me. Have you ever heard that when a lion is attacking and he roars, his prey freezes? That is exactly what happened. That voice froze me right in the water. And I was about 50 feet from the mouth of the cave, but I was frozen. I wasn't getting out of there quickly. Even though he had said, get away from him now, all of a sudden the earthquake hits, and all of the boulders come down and seal off the cave. Literally an act of God, a move of God, where God said, no, you're not going in that hole. You're not leading Team Obama that way. You're not going to do it. I'm shutting you off. I'm cutting you off, and you are going to die in this deep state operation. That was just the hand of God moving to shut off this very dangerous, one-time, one-up presidential decision. God himself shut it down. That's my interpretation of the dream. And I got to tell you, as I watched President Obama take office and move through, I saw him break so many rules and change so many things. He was a president with a pen, and signing capacity to fundamentally change the United States of America. And as we went through his 8 years, I was like, oh, that's it, that's the one that's going to bring the house down. Nope, I guess not. Oh, that's it, I can't believe he did that, that's the one. Nope, not that one. Nope. And he actually exited presidency. Trump took over, then Biden, then we're back to Trump, and all of a sudden we find out there was a meeting in the deep state cave where he gave the directives and said, let's go this way. And God said, no, it's not going to happen. And the Lord brought the house down in the dream. I believe the Lord himself is using whomever to bring the house down now in reality. And I thank God for the dream. And I thank God that even though 17 years later, it is being proven as true. God bless you.